I have. Yes, I think I have. I think I'm good. We're on. We're on. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. Guys, listen, this is an urgent NATO war warning. Conscription inevitable. World War III and World War IV updates. So I don't know where I'm going to go first. I don't know whether I'm going to go to World War III or World War IV. World War III, as far as I'm concerned, is the global conflicts on an industrial scale that we're not just heading towards, we're in them now. And World War IV is the war that's going to be fought on our streets. I'm talking civil war, I'm talking civil unrest, I'm talking balkanization, I'm talking ghettoization, I'm talking 15-minute cities. You will own nothing and you will be happy. That's where we're going, ladies and gentlemen. Did somebody say 50-year mortgages? Anyway, before we start, can you do those things, ladies and gentlemen, that really help this channel grow? Like, follow, comment, subscribe, bell notification, wherever you are, whatever they are. Like, if you're watching on TikTok, they're, in fact, if you're watching on TikTok, they're like up here somewhere, I think, or maybe like that. Is it that? I don't know. Like, I think it's that side. If you're watching on YouTube, the button's down below somewhere, the like, follow, subscribe button. Those help me out, guys. And if you're watching on X, then I think it's up the top somewhere. So I have changed my... I've changed my perspective now, guys. I've changed my perspective. We are in landscape. We tried it yesterday. We was in landscape and we was in portrait. The portrait one was a massive fail, but so you know, so I've I put the chart on. The portrait one was a massive fail, so we're not doing that. Right, let's just get on with this, guys. Okay, where are we going to go first? We will go to we'll go to World War IV first because I've got those screens up here first. So. Turns out there's been some work done by a group, and they've been going to the courts in Bradford, they've been going to the courts in Birmingham, and they have been noting down the names of defendants, I guess, related to sex crimes. And I'm going to share a video with you guys in a second. I'm not going to share it in a second. I'm going to share a video with you guys now on YouTube. I'm going to play this video and tell me what you think, guys. Do you think there is a correlation between sex crimes and foreign? Well, let's just watch the video together.
We see regularly 25%, and the.
Sorry, guys. I totally messed up. Right. Okay. Let's do it now.
And the information that we've been gathering over the last 6 weeks, as you said.
Guys, just quickly, you guys on YouTube, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear this? Because I know there's been problems with the sound. So if you guys can hear this, give me a thumbs up, please.
It's startling. It's a real concern because there has been a massive increase in the number of people committing offences and the number of sex crimes. Now, we know that the analysis based on names is not scientific. We know there's problems with that, but it's the best that we can get at the moment because there's no other data being obtained.
So let me just clarify that, guys, okay? The information that we're getting here and he's going to present, it's not scientific, but this is the best data we've got. You know, this is the best information that we've got because the government are not releasing the nationalities and the percentage of sex crimes that are committed by foreign nationals, people who class themselves as Pakistani descent, Somali, whatever those descents are. Obviously, in my speculation, I think the Norwegian fishermen, I think they're the highest rate. But look, guys, we don't know because that information has not been released. So let's just continue and listen to some of these statistics, guys.
And Marcus, in some of your findings are astonishing. On some of the highest days, 80% of the sex offenders in Birmingham had foreign-sounding names, 70% in Bradford. Are you convinced there's a clear link going on here?
Well, there is a link. There's no doubt about it because the figures are consistent. We see regularly 25%.
So there we are, guys. You know, so he's saying there is a consistent link. The numbers are consistent with foreign names and sex crimes. And what he's also saying is there's been an uptick in sex crimes in the United Kingdom. And look, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't think that this civil conflict is coming to the United Kingdom, you know, I don't know where you're looking. I really don't know where you're looking. We are at critical mass now. World War IV on our streets is inevitable. We've also got another article was released today by, I think it was this morning, actually, GB News. And what GB News are, is it GB News? Hang on. Sorry, this was yesterday. Sorry, guys. Yesterday, it was yesterday. So GB News yesterday are claiming, and I will share this video with you guys in a second. So GB News are also claiming that, you know how we're being told that the prisons are full and they're at breaking point, and you know we need to release prisoners early. Well, it turns out that the prisons are not actually full at all. It turns out that there's plenty of space in the prisons, allegedly, like from this GB News article. And, you know, they're letting people out of prison for no reason. All this seems crazy, doesn't it? All this seems insane. Unless you take a step back and you consider, like I said yesterday, that we are heading towards, you know, total destruction of the United Kingdom. Whoever's in charge, that's what they're pushing for. Let out prisoners early, let out violent criminals early, and lock up people who are complaining about it. That's where we are right now. And what does that do to the population? It drives people crazy, and it makes a civil war. And again, you know, the words civil war, I think they're going to have to be, you know, I think the words civil war are going to have to be reframed, because it's not going to be a civil war. It's really not. It's going to be something far worse. So let's have a look at this video, guys. It's quite a long video. I'm only going to play the first minute or so. Is it? Yeah, this one.
And now for a bombshell expose. Is there a deliberate attempt to create chaos and raise crime in Britain by deep state socialist groups like the Fabians?
What have we been saying, ladies and gentlemen? What have we been saying? None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense, guys, unless you understand subversion. None of this makes sense unless you accept. If you accept just everything. Let's get through the video and then we'll come back to that.
Because you've been told prisons are full. You've been told that we must endure the early release of dangerous rapists and criminals on our streets. You've been told this Labour government had no other choice. Well, well, well. An explosive exclusive by the Daily Express has revealed 3 of our so-called overflowing prisons are apparently sitting there half empty, with hundreds of cells gathering dust.
So what do we think, guys? Do we think this is done by design? Do we think it's just a little admin error? You know, and let's not forget that the amount of people who are being released by accident is going crazy.
HMP Cookham Wood, meant for the young tearaways who terrorise our communities, is barely a third full. 83 scumbags, in my opinion, in a total of 180 spots. Well, that's almost 100 free spaces just in that prison alone. Then there's HMP Millsike, Britain's shiny new £250 million prison with 1,500 beds. And guess what? It's sitting at under 54% capacity with over 700 empty bunks. What on earth is going on here? David Lammy's disastrous Ministry of Justice claims that all male prisoners are over 80% packed, yet 2 facilities are allegedly under half full, with 7 more than a quarter empty.
Right, I'm going to leave that video there, guys. The video goes on and it talks about, I may continue the video a little bit later, but look, none of this makes sense, right? None of it makes sense until you take a step back and change your perspective. Now, if you have the perspective that whoever's in charge, and I don't think it's Keir Starmer, and I certainly don't think, maybe it is David Lammy. But, you know, if you take a step back and you change your perspective and you think, right, how do we destroy the United Kingdom? How do we cause a civil war? And then just think, right, think somebody's trying to do that. Then everything makes sense. Everything starts to make sense, guys. It really does. Right, I'm going to come on, in fact, yeah, I'm going to come onto the chat, and then I've got one more thing to talk about, and then we'll talk about World War IV, because, ladies and gentlemen, the war in Ukraine is almost over for the Ukrainians. The town of Pokrovsk is like, I would say it's like I mean, listen, I've already said the town of Pokrovs has already fallen and there's no way that those guys can hold on to it. But the mainstream media are now reporting on this. The Russians are sending an extra 150,000 troops into that region. And I'm going to show you guys a video of the realities of war. I'm going to show you guys a realities of war video. And I'm going to show you guys and let you guys know from this video, because it's a really good video, and well, let me come on to that afterwards. Right, good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Right, guys, listen, if you're on, can you do me a real big favor? Can you like, comment, subscribe, share, all those things that help this channel out? Right, I'm just going to jump to the bottom, guys. There's quite a lot of chat this morning. Danny Walker, good morning, Danny Walker, is saying they are releasing them to cause more trouble on the streets, more civil unrest, so they can use digital ID to calm it all down. Yeah, it all makes sense, doesn't it? When you put things into a different perspective, when you put things into a different context, everything starts to make sense. And Endeavour to Preserve is saying MK Ultra was a covert. Right, okay, why are we talking about MK Ultra? MK Ultra was a covert CIA program from 1953 to 1973 that involved illegal experimentation on human subjects to develop mind control techniques, often using drugs like LSD without consent. Yes, you are 100% correct, Endeavour to Preserve, and yes, you're right, that is correct. The program aimed to find ways to manipulate individuals' mental states and interrogation and psychological torture processes. The program has been widely condemned for its disregard of human rights and ethical standards. It raised significant. Okay. I'm trying to think of the significance of MK Ultra to this. What's happening now? Right. Let's talk about MK Ultra at the end, guys. Okay. So MK Ultra was. It was that if you look at the times and the dates and the places that MK Ultra happened, it's absolutely wild. It's crazy. I can't even believe it's a thing, but it is. Now, if you guys know what I'm talking about with MK Ultra, I will talk about this later on at the end of this live stream. If you think that this program didn't go anywhere, I would say that program is still running. It may have changed its name. It may be doing something more nefarious. We may be looking where all these children are going. You know how there's a big influx, there's a big missing children. There's huge amounts of missing children. I think they're all connected, guys. But look, ladies and gentlemen, that is another live stream for another time. I will touch on it at the end, but let's get back onto World War IV in the United Kingdom. So unemployment. Now, I'm reading this as from a story that was released today, this morning, 9/09/12. Sky News. Unemployment rate jumps to the highest level since late 2020 ahead of the budget. The Chancellor's critics accuse her of killing jobs through a 25 billion tax raid on employers in last year's budget. It's like I said that, isn't it? It's like I said that was coming. And remember, you know, when you look at these things and you're looking from the outside looking in, these things don't seem to make sense, do they? They don't seem to make sense. You're like, why is she doing this? It's destroying this. It's destroying small businesses. It's destroying the economy. She stood there going, we are going to tax our way out of this poverty. What? We're already skinned. Yes. And we're going to tax you to make you rich. What? Yes. It's the only way. Whoa, hang on a minute, Rachel. So I'm poor, and your solution to my poorness is to take more money off me. Yes. Oh, right. It doesn't make sense, does it? None of it makes sense until you change your perspective and you think, right, the government... Let me be careful. It doesn't make sense to the normal person unless you change your... So the normal person who thinks that everybody, you know, should have free and fair life and should be able to live their life without fear or persecution, it doesn't make sense to that person. If you change your perspective and you think, right, okay, we need to destroy the country. We need total destruction of the United Kingdom. What do we do? Right, okay, well, it needs to be a slow burner. Flood the shores with migrants, okay? Destroy British culture. Right, done. subvert our universities, our churches, our police institutions, our emergency service, our government, totally flood them. Right. Okay, done. Right. What's the next thing to do? Right. We need to get everybody poor. We need to make people poor. How do we do that? Well, let's destroy small businesses. Okay. Destroy small businesses. Right. Good. Okay. If you change your perspective and think that is the direction of travel, that's what the government are trying to do, then it all makes sense. Right, give me a second. So the Office for National Statistics reported a figure of 5% covering the 3 months to September, up from 4.8%. Guys, this is absolutely wild. I can remember when I was young, unemployment hitting 2.8%, and it was all over the news. Unemployment's hit 2.8%. Oh, the economy's not going to recover. We are now at 5% unemployment. I don't think you understand how wild that figure is. And again, this is all moving into World War III, all moving into a global conflict of an industrial scale. So the Office for sorry guys, let me start again. The Office for National Statistics. I don't know why that's a tongue twister. The Office for National Statistics. No, it's the Office for National Statistics reported a figure of 5% covering 3 months of September, up from 4.8% on last month. It was a larger leap than economists had predicted. Not me, guys. Not me. I've been telling you guys what's coming. These people, these economists, they don't know what they're talking about, guys. I'm telling you what's coming. And the Office for National Statistics said men were most affected by the shift. I wonder what type of men. I wonder what their names are. It leaves the jobless rate at its highest since December 2020. So you guys can remember what happened. In December 2020. We was going through the wild COVID times. Businesses were closing down. People were on furlough. It was wild times. None of that's happening now. What's the disaster that's happening now, Sean? Last time we was at these levels of unemployment, there was a global pandemic, destroying people. We all had to go out and clap for our carers. What's the global emergency this time? Oh, Labour Party are in office. So the unemployment rate did stand at 4.1% when Labour took office. So it looks like Labour are destroying. Look, guys, the statistics don't lie. The numbers don't lie. When Labour took office, the country was at 4.1% unemployment. Now it's at 5%. I don't know what you guys want to make of that. I would argue that Labour are destroying jobs. That's what I would argue, guys. That is what I would argue. But remember, we are not going to tax the working person. We're just going to sack them. We're not going to. I wish Angela Rayner was still in. We're not going to tax that working person. No, I'm not going to tax them. I'm just going to sack them. Yeah, nice one, Angela. Look at these trousers. There was no better news for our Chancellor Rachel Reeves in wider experimental HM. Yeah, okay. It's just declining, guys. Okay. Oh, yeah, 32,000. So since December, hang on. Whoa, no. Sorry, guys. Stop. In October, wow. In October, guys, there were 32,000 less jobs. That's in October. 32,000 people. I'll read this and then I'll give you why so I don't want to say things wrong. I'll tell you why I'm saying that. HMRC data released by the Office of National Statistics, which showed a 32,000 decline in payroll employment during October. So I'm saying that 32,000 people have lost their jobs. I don't know how else you would interpret that information. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, right. I'm going to leave that there. I will touch back on this at the end of the live stream. I want to get the chat, and then I want to jump over to World War III. We've been talking on this channel, and people have been saying, Sean, tell me about conscription. Is conscription coming? Is it, are we going to get conscripted in the United Kingdom? I've always said I don't see the root yet, but I am seeing the root, and I'm going to show you guys a video in a second, and you guys are going to understand. And this video shows you what I already know. So picture an image now, guys, of them. Right, before I show you this video, I want you guys to picture an image of the battlefield, of how they're fighting in Ukraine. Imagine, you know, all these millions of pounds worth of equipment that's been sent in, you know, the world's most advanced tanks, tanks, guns, bombs, trains, planes, automobiles, you know, drones, kinetic strike options, storm shadows. And what have I always said? What have I always said? It's all a fugazi. It's all fake. None of it matters. The only thing that wins wars is private soldiers with bayonets fitted, 5.56 and hand grenades. That's it. That is it. Forget all the drones and stuff. We are heading towards a global conflict on an industrial scale. All the weapons that we've been given to Ukraine are not geared around fighting a global conflict on an industrial scale. Those are weapons developed by NATO to support NATO troops. And this is what people don't understand, guys. We are not heading into that war anymore. That war that we think we're heading into, that's not where we're going. That is not where we're going, guys. Okay, we're going to something totally different, totally worse. And the West, NATO need conscripts. That's the reality, guys. Okay, or it's an L, or it's an L. Right, before we jump over, guys, before I jump onto the chat, can you guys make sure you like, comment, subscribe? I know I don't do that anymore. I've lost a load of followers on, I've lost like 100 and something followers on TikTok, I think, because, well, not I think, I know. Because I don't know. I've not been posting as much on TikTok because I've been concentrating on YouTube. Well, listen, guys, you guys on TikTok, I'm going to try and give you guys some more love today. I'm going to post quite a few videos today on TikTok. So I'm not apologizing. You know, blame TikTok because they ban me all the time. Right, let me jump down and get this chat. Right, where are we? Fran Wood, in fact, should we start with... Creepy Queen has jumped on and she's just saying good morning. I'm just saying good morning to you, Creepy Queen. I hope Creepy Queen, how are you this morning? I hope you're well. Oh, and then David O'Rourke is saying there's a drug hitting the UK called Devil Breath. Okay, so okay, right. I don't know what, right, guys, I'm reading this in the real time. Although, okay, so this is what AI is. In fact, let's share this. Let's go. This is for you, David, because I got you, bro. So this is for David. David said there's a new drug hitting the streets called Devil's Breath. So let's see what Devil's Breath is. I'm getting this at the first time, guys. I don't know what it is. The Devil's Breath drug is the street name for scopolamine, I don't know. A potent substance derived from plants in the nightshade family. That's poisonous. The nightshade family is definitely poisonous. I know this because we have some growing in the garden. Native to South America, in medicine, scopolamine, also known as is used in low controlled doses to treat motion sickness. Okay, so I'm going to assume you can get this out of like what is it? Is it atropine? Dramamine, not atropine. Okay, in illicit high doses, it has gained a terrifying reputation for its use in crimes, particularly robberies. Oh, Jesus. And sexual assaults in parts of South America and increasingly in Europe and North America. Zombifying effect. It works by blocking the neurotransmitters, which is vital for memory formation and retrieval. Wow. Jesus. This can leave victims in a zombified dreamlike state, compliant, highly suggestible, and unable to resist or recall events. Wow, that is like Jesus. Wow, that is terrifying. You can imagine now, can't you? A zombified army. Honestly, guys, I'm just like, wow. Memory loss, a primary and sinister effect, is a temporary but severe amnesia, making it difficult for victims to report crime or identify perpetrators. Jesus. Wow. Right. Listen, guys, I am going to look into that. That like, honestly, that sent me cold. That has sent me absolutely cold. Right. Let's jump back onto the chat. Let's jump back onto the chat. Listen, look, guys, I'm only just finding out about this. You know, I'm literally only just finding out about this thing, this Devil's Breath. I don't know. I've got no information on it other than what I've just read. So, like, I'm not a subject matter expert on this thing. It's not me, guys. It's not my it's not my bag. I do guns, bombs, tanks, trains, planes, automobiles, tactics and strategy. That is totally alien to me, guys. But when I read that, I was absolutely terrified. Kane Slazer is saying maybe they're bringing in all the migrants to work in the factories to keep the war machine going while we are forced to fight their war. That could be the case. Donna is saying NATO, United States Air Forces, B-52 deploys to Spain to bolster the eastern flank. And Brian Lactic says we need an emergency election now. Vote for reform. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think voting our way out. We can't vote our way out of this. We really can't. Yes, a Farage government would be, in my opinion anyway, a Farage government would be better than the government we've got, but we would still have the same problems, guys. We would still have the same problems. We would still have the same bureaucrats. We would still have the same structure in place that's protecting people who deem to do us harm. And it's very easy, guys. When you've got unlimited money resources, you can pay pretty much anyone off. You know, you can pretty much pay anyone off except from Batman, you know. You can't pay Batman off. Be like Batman. Debbie Doobs is saying we don't have the mindset for conscription. Not yet, but I think, right, with that, Debbie Doobs, we're going to jump now. Okay, right. Everybody hold that thought, guys, okay? Everybody hold that thought, what Debbie Doobs is saying. Debbie Doobs is saying we don't have the the mindset for conscription. I'm going to share with you guys a video right now, and I'm told that this is a video coming out of Pokroves. I'm going to switch to World War III now, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So I'm going to share with you guys now a video that I'm told is coming out of Pokroves. It might not be. I can't fact check it. It might not be. It doesn't really matter. I want to share with you guys this video right now. And I remember that image I gave you guys. You know, think about what the front line is like. Think about what this war is, and try and visualize it. You know, you've got all these troops with all this expensive kit and equipment, and they've got all the drones, and millions are being sent to the front line. Imagine, what would you expect? Think about the image that you've got in your head, and I'm going to give you the reality of war. And don't worry, guys, it's not. There's nothing. There's no trigger warnings here. So this is the realities of war, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So all these expensive drones and tanks and bombs and stuff, look what these guys are using. I would say they're confiscated motorbikes. Looks more like Mad Max, right? What's that? Is that an expensive tank? Is that an expensive tank? It looks like a Volvo like X90 or something with the doors taken off. You know, how much do you think the Russians? So what I'm told is that these are Russian forces. So what I'm told is, and listen, for you guys on TikTok, I'm sharing this video over on. Sorry guys, I forgot about you guys there. All patiently. For you guys on TikTok, I'm sharing a video on YouTube. I'm sharing a video on X. Unfortunately, you guys just can't see it. Okay, so if you want to jump over there, I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube and I'm the Real Raven 1 on X. You guys can see this video. So what do you think, guys? You know, that vehicle there, where do you think they got that from? Do you think they got that through the military-industrial complex? Reworked civilian vehicles, guys. That's what they're using. Reworked civilian vehicles. What's that? I would say that is. I don't even know what these things are. I would say that is a WAZ with the top chopped off. What's that? We've got like another. I don't know. I'd say that's a 4x4 with a drone cage on the outside. So what I'm getting at here, guys, you know. But in fact, let's just see what else. I think there was a drone on the floor. Hang on. There, can you see that? I think that's their quadcopter. I think they've got a quadcopter drone there. I don't know if you can see that on the floor. That looks like a quadcopter with a camera on a gimbal. That's what that looks like. Let's see if we can get a better view. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, well, I think that's a quadcopter. With a camera on it. Obviously, they won't be flying that because of the fog. So they're not going to be flying that because of the fog. So I think they're just leaving it down there. I'm going to assume this guy here is the operator. I may be wrong, guys. I may be wrong. The reason I want to share that video with you is because that is the reality of war. That is the reality of modern war, guys. That is modern war. So when we're all thinking, all right, when everybody's thinking about, we need to spend all this money on tanks, on vehicles, we need to spend all this money in these factories, and people are talking about outspending the Russians. Yes, I get that. Those guys there, I would speculate, are conscripts. They've been told to go in there, use what you can, and fight. That's a conscript army, guys. How much do you think they cost? How long do you think it is for that training? So those images that people have of, these high-tech wars with, that's the reality right there, guys, okay? People using up-armored vehicles that they've confiscated themselves, civilian vehicles, motorbikes, quad bikes, whatever they can get their hands on. Whatever they can get their hands on. That is the reality of war, guys, okay? Sorry, that's the reality of this conflict. So when I talk to you guys about what's coming, you can imagine now the NATO troops sending all their fancy equipment in. They're going to lose a lot of that fun. Yes, and I get it, guys. I do. I get it that, a well-tested, well-built product is better than, what was it, a Volvo? Do you think that was a Volvo X90 or something? It certainly looked, the front end, it doesn't matter. Do you think those vehicles are easier to replenish than just taking one that's on the street? Because trust me, there's plenty of vehicles lying around in Ukraine. Plenty of them, I'm going to assume that the Russians somewhere know how to hotwire. I'm going to assume that. I'm going to assume they can get those vehicles started. And if they can get them started, why not use them? So when I say to you guys, we are heading towards a global conflict on an industrial scale, this is the reality. And without conscription, that's the reality, guys, okay? Without conscription, it's an L for NATO forces. So I'm just going to jump onto the war map now, guys, okay? So we just saw the scenes then from, now we're being told that they're from Pokrovs. You know, I can't independently verify that. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't think anybody can because of the fog. So I'm going to share with you guys now the war map. And again, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are on YouTube, on TikTok, I am sharing all this stuff on YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube and the Real Raven 1 on X. So let me just let me share this with you guys right now. So this is the contested area here. Now, you know, the mainstream media are calling Pokrovs a city. It's not a city, guys, all right? It's not a city, it's a town at best. So let's just look here, guys, all right? So let's just say from there to like there is Pokrovs. That's like 7 kilometers across. It's not a city, guys, all right? Excuse me, at best it's a town. This is a heavily fortified, this is a fortress region in Ukraine. As soon as that town, and I've said this for so long, as soon as that town falls, I mean, look, guys, would you say right now the media, and again, I would say this map may be a little bit restricted for propaganda reasons, but I would say that that town has already fallen. It looks like the Russians are certainly, you know, they've certainly got control of more than half of the town, and they are contesting the whole of the town. From the front line there. Let's say that's the closest to that corner. It's from the 2 front lines to the the 2 front lines to where it's contested. Well, that looks like it's 2.87 kilometers. Call it 3 kilometers. Once this town falls, there is nothing, ladies and gentlemen. There's no fortifications stopping the Russians then making the trip all the way to the River Dnipro. So once they've managed to take Pokrovs, they've got free sailing for like 130 kilometers. Yes, of course, the Ukrainians can mount a fighting withdrawal, but that's all it's going to be at best case, guys. Best case scenario, that is going to be a fighting withdrawal. So that's the town that they were talking about, guys, okay, Pokrovs. I've got people texting me now about the situation. In fact, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, you guys on TikTok, I am going to close you guys down now. Right, yeah, you guys on TikTok, I am going to close you guys down now. I will continue this live stream over on YouTube and X. If you guys are jumping over there to YouTube and X, I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube and the Real Raven 1 on X. I will be continuing this live stream over on YouTube and X. We're going to be talking about World War III for a little bit. We're then going to come back. I'm going to go through real quickly all the talking points that I've had today. But don't worry, guys, if you're not going to jump over to YouTube or X, I will be back on this evening. I will, good sir. Thank you for all your likes, comments, and subscribers. I got a lot of gifts today on TikTok. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for that. Right, I am going to turn you guys off now and jump over. And for 2 reasons, I've got some messages come through about the situation in Ukraine, and I'm using my phone to stream, so I kind of need to look at it. Anyway, guys, I'm jumping over now. I'll be back on at 8, and I hope to see you later. I hope to see you over on YouTube as well. Right, let me turn you guys off. Right, is that off? Are you guys off? Right, they're off. Right. Ugh. Right, let me check this, guys. Hang on. Oh, he's going crackers now on my phone. Right, hang on, guys. Hang on. Jesus. Right, okay. Right. Oh, God. Right. I've got to take a. Oh, God. Right. Hang on. I've got to do a group call. Right. What time is it? Right, we've got time. We've got time, guys. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. Right. Just on an information overload. I'll give you an update later on today, guys. In fact, I will do a video for the. I will do a video update. I'll do a video update for the members, guys. Okay, and then I will make that. And then I will make that video. I will make that video open to everyone. So, just just the situation from Ukraine, guys. Okay, the situation from Ukraine. Imagine, what your images of modern warfare were like, and now you've seen the reality. That's the reality of war. You've got this image, you've got this image with all these millions of dollars going to Ukraine. You've got the image, and then you've got the reality. This is why I keep saying, ladies and gentlemen, it's a numbers game. How much do you think it cost the Russians to push those troops into that region? Yes, of course, they're not going to be as effective as a fully armed, fully funded NATO war machine. They're not. But you know what? They don't need to be, because that's not how they're going to roll. They're rolling with the cheaper option. They're going with the B&M option. They're just sending shitloads out there, and if it breaks, you just buy another one. That's what they're doing, guys, okay? So, it's very difficult to try and consider, it's very difficult for me when I see all these mainstream media news outlets and pundits talk about all this money that's going to Ukraine. I'm like, none of it's going to matter. They need more men, and that's it, guys. They literally need more men. Anyway, right, let me jump up and get some of these comments, and then I will continue, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to have to close this at pretty much at 1 hour, guys, because I've got to take a phone call. No, I think I'll be okay, actually. I've got to take a phone call at 11:15, and I'll need to get some spreadsheets open. James is saying, I've heard Ukraine has no troops in the south. The Russians are just walking in. So I would say that if it was me running the Ukrainian military, I would bring all my men and equipment back behind the Dnipro. Right now, I would say, right, this is not a withdrawal. This is a tactical. This is not a loss. This is a tactical withdrawal. And I get it, guys. I get it, I totally get it. Oh, we'll fight forever and we'll never surrender. Yeah, that's all well and good. That's absolutely fine. Worst case scenario, you kind of don't want to leave it that way. You want to protect your biggest resource, and your biggest resource is your manpower. It really is, guys. The manpower is the biggest resource. So if it was me, I would pull all the Ukrainians, all the kit and equipment back behind the Dnipro, and then I would send out surging operations, lightning strike operations. I wouldn't want to take and hold ground. I would just want to disrupt and destroy. I'm pretty good at that. Slim is saying the new Russian tanks, T-90s, are being destroyed like they are made of paper. The modern battlefield is dominated by drones. It's not. It's really not. This is propaganda, Slim. This really is propaganda. Drone warfare. The modern battle. Look, guys, you just saw the modern battlefield there. Literally, you just saw the modern battlefield there. Doesn't look that modern, does it? And they never do. They never do, guys. Okay. Ultimately, I keep saying this all the time. Ultimately, wars are won and lost by private soldiers on the front line with bayonets fixed and 5.56. That's it. And some hand grenades. That's all you need. Literally all you need. So Slim's saying the new Russian tanks, T-90s. Well, the T-90s are not the new ones. I think the T-14s are the newest. Anyway, I know what you're saying. Tanks are being destroyed like paper. Absolutely not, guys. That's propaganda. What drones are doing is they're changing the battlefield, but not in a disruptive way. What they're doing is they're replacing artillery. So now you think, and let's just do the Raven maths, guys. Remember, What do we say? Raven maths is not always understandable, but it's always right. So let's do the Raven maths, okay? Let's literally do the Raven maths, guys, okay? So the Raven maths is, yes, I will accept that a drone operator can get a drone more accurately onto a tank than artillery. I'll take that. You need one drone operator for one tank. Sorry, you need one drone operator for one tank, and they've got like the goggles on. They've got the goggles, and they're doing this. If they're flying a sortie, if they're flying a mission 20 kilometers away, without having a tactical pause, that's going to take 20 minutes to get there. So now you've got one guy operating one munition, and that's going to take 20 minutes to get there. And regardless what people say, these things, the fiber optic wire snags, they crash, they have technical problems, they don't always hit their targets. So, you might have to send 3 or 4, and that takes 20 minutes to get there. And then if you want to send another wave, you either need more men to operate the drones, or you need to wait another 20 minutes while they've got everything set up, put their goggles off, and sent it out again. Now, if you think about an artillery crew, they can fire similar distances, but 3 of them can put down hundreds of munitions on that target. So now you understand how drone warfare, it is changing warfare, but not in a disruptive way, guys. Not in a disruptive way. All drones, and I'm talking about quadcopters now. I'm talking about these quadcopters, guys. Okay, and look, I am nuancing this. There's a lot of nuance, and there is a lot of granularization. I could go into this with battery packs, payload, quadcopters, hexacopters, fixed wing. There's all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of stuff I could go into. But, on a whole, drone warfare, it is changing warfare, but it's only replacing artillery. That's the reality, guys, okay? It's only replacing artillery. If you've got good artillery, I would say, you know what, guys? If you've got good artillery, and you can use a drone to spot, which is what drones should be used for, guiding an artillery. If you've got good artillery and a drone above, your artillery is going to win like every time. Every time your artillery is going to win. Yes, I get there's a lot of nuance about secret missions and stuff, guys. I totally get that. But it's not been a game changer. Donna is saying, oh, hang on. Right, what? Hang on, guys. I'm just jumping up and getting the chat. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize. If I'm missing anyone's comment. Oh, Jill is saying, what do you gain from war? Nothing but life. I agree, Jill. I agree. And you know what, Jill? One of the tropes on this, listen, guys, I'm pretty good at doing war. I'm pretty good at, knowing about war and stuff and all that kind of kinetic stuff. I've done it for long enough. I agree with Jill. You don't get anything from that. 10 years after that war is over, everything will go back. Everything will go back to normal, and people are like, "Oh, right. Well, what was that all in aid of?" Look at New York. Look at New York. 24 years or whatever after 9/11, they've elected a Muslim mayor. So, I agree. But one of the things I've always said, guys, is avoid wars at all cost. But if you're in a war, you've got to win it at all cost. Right, Emery's saying, Sean, read what Donna has put about I think you're in Romania. I think you're right. Okay, hang on. What's Donna saying? Where's Donna? What's Donna saying about Romania? Right, Donna. Oh, okay. So drone crashes in Romania as Russia attacks Ukraine defense. Right. Okay. So are we talking about? Right. Let me get this up because I don't. This could mean a lot of things. Let me get this up, guys. Remember, Romania, okay, 1 hour ago, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news from 1 hour ago. Romania says drone likely fell on its territory during a Russian attack on Ukraine. Remember, guys, I'm pretty sure, in fact, let me Google this. I need to be very careful about what I'm saying now, guys. Okay, right. So Romania has not recently invoked Article 4. Now, if you guys remember, I think Poland, Estonia, I think there was someone else as well, who have all invoked Article 4 after incursions into their airspace. So Romania has not invoked Article 4. So what this could lead to is Romania then invoking Article 4 of the NATO alliance treaty or whatever it is. Now, let's just read this article, guys, and then we will, and then I will continue. A drone likely fell on Romanian territory during Russia's overnight attack on port infrastructure in Ukraine's Odessa Oblast. Romania's defense ministry said the incident marks another violation of NATO airspace during Russia's strikes on Ukrainian port infrastructure. Okay, so they're not saying it was a Russian drone, although I don't see how it. I mean, it could have been an interceptor or something. I don't know. But look, like I've said, ladies and gentlemen, many times, you know what? I'm just going to call it now. World War III will start by accident. It will happen by accident, you know, because there really isn't much right now, guys. There's not much time for. There's not much room for. In fact, I can have some coffee, can't I? There isn't much. There's no space for error. There's no space for error. Dr. Toxic is saying you can fly a drone in the fog. It's just harder without thermal cameras. Not impossible. Okay. So I agree. You can fly a drone in the fog, but why would you? If you can't, you know, if you don't have a thermal camera and you're, you know, these guys, you know, let's be clear, these guys didn't look like the high spec military. They were cruising with stripped down Volvo. What was it, guys? Did anybody know what that vehicle was? I think it was a Volvo X. Like it looked to me like a Volvo 4x4. So if these guys are cruising around with stripped down Volvos, I'm going to assume that they don't have, they don't have thermal imaging on their cameras, and I'm just going to say they're using, visible light cameras. In which concept, why would you fly that if you can't see? Right, guys, I'm just going to jump down because there's loads of chat going. Oh, hang on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then, yeah, so it does look like Romania have activated. Look, guys, this is going to happen by mistake. I promise you, this is going to happen. World War III will start by mistake, guys, okay? World War III will happen by mistake. And Lisa is saying we need to witness the 2-minute silence at 11. Yeah, we will, guys. Do you know what? I'll be off before 11. I will, guys. Do you know what? Yeah, I'll make sure I'm off before 11, guys. I will. I'll just keep an eye on that time. Right. I've got quite a bit to get through here, guys. Okay, right. So let's jump back to Ukraine. Let's jump back to Ukraine and that town of Pokrov. So the town of Pokrovs, guys, it's already gone. It went a long time ago. The Ukrainians are just trying to get all their men and kit and equipment out of there without, minimizing loss, basically. So Kiev denies Russian reports of the fall of Pokrovs. The opposite to that would be Russia reports the fall of Pokrovs. On the day the Kremlin insisted the West was foolish to think Ukraine can win, as the situation on the front line indicates the opposite. And look, guys, I've been saying this all along. It's not a win. It's not a win, guys. It's a slow loss. And again, what does a win even mean now? Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Alexander Syrskyi, was quoted on Monday saying that Russian and other international reports about an important stronghold in the Donetsk region amounted to nothing more than propaganda. Underrated, Moscow sent roughly 150,000 troops in the direction of Pokrovsk, with powerful mechanized groups and 4 Marine brigades committed to the push. An article in the New York Post published on Monday reads, Russian state media reports over the weekend claims that Russian troops have overtaken the city of Pokrovsk. Guys, I can't tell you, look, this has not been reported on the mainstream media because it's like, once this town falls, there really isn't anything then. There's nothing on the ground apart from open countryside to stop the Russians pushing forward. The only thing that will slow the Russians down is the weather. It's the only thing, guys, And when everybody's got these images of, these images of modern warfare and drone technology and all this stuff, you guys, I've just shown you guys there the realities of war. I've just shown you guys the reality of warfare. It's not expensive tanks. It's not, all these bits of material, all this machinery that you guys see in on display at arms conventions and, these big military parades through streets. That's not the reality. That is not the reality of this conflict. This conflict, guys, it's been these conscripts, and I'm going to say they are conscripts, they're going into these places, they're improvising, they're taking local vehicles, they're using up-armored whatever they can. And it's kind of like Mad Max. And when our militaries, NATO military I'm talking about now, when NATO military comes face to face with that, yes, they're going to win initially. But how much do you think it cost to send those conscripts? How much do you think it cost to send those conscripts into Ukraine? I would say they're using NATO weapons that they've confiscated. What's the word? Confiscated, not confiscated, captured. They're using civilian vehicles. I would say that a lot of them are in civilian clothes. So how much did it cost to send those conscripts versus how much it cost to send the NATO military? Okay, that's financial cost. How much did it cost in time? How much did it cost in time? Well, how long does it take to train a NATO private soldier? 4-6 months minimum of intense training. That's for a private soldier. You think a sergeant? How long does it take to train a sergeant? 15 years? 10, 15 years, whatever. Okay, so now you start to look at the time. How much does it take to train a conscript? 20 minutes? Right, you guys, off you go. There you go. That's your training done. Time, money, and resources, ladies and gentlemen, they are, they're things that, people don't take into consideration. And while people are laughing at the videos I've just shown you guys, while people are laughing, going, oh, look at the Russians, they're having to use this. Yeah, fine. Laugh all you want. How much do you think that cost? How quickly do you think they can deploy those troops? It's not a win, guys. It really is not. It's not. We are not looking at a NATO win without conscripts. And that is the reality of this modern warfare, guys. The battlefield's too big. The front line's too big. And we've not even mentioned Belarus yet. We've not even mentioned Belarus getting involved. Jake is saying manifestation and spiritual awakening 11, 11, 11. What does that mean? What are we all talking about, Jake? Are we all manifesting? Are we all manifesting stuff? Danny Walker is saying, I think NATO in general should invoke Article 4 rather than each country. I don't know if NATO can. I think Article 4 is for each countries to invoke. Right, listen, guys, I'm looking at the time now. I'm looking at the time now. I'm looking at the time now and thinking, should we close this down? You know what, guys? Yeah, let's close this down. Yeah. Let's close this down, guys, because it's 11 o'clock. I don't want to be on here waffling while there's a 2-minute silence. So I am going to close this down now. I just want to really quickly, in the next 2 minutes, run through what we've been talking about on this live stream, guys. Okay. So we've got World War IV, which is the battles on our streets. There was an article out recently, 80% of sex offenders in Birmingham have foreign names, 70% in Bradford have foreign names. There was also an article out today that the prisons in the United Kingdom are not anywhere near as full as the government are saying. Unemployment has risen to its highest since 2020, when we was in the height of the pandemic. We've also got that video that I was showing you guys, that video of real modern warfare, what it's like on the front line. And that's the reality, guys, okay? That is the reality. So, look, guys, I am going to close this down now. We've got World War III and World War IV coming simultaneously. For the members, I'm going to do a members-only video later on, guys. You guys, hopefully you guys will check that out. But ladies and gentlemen, if you've not done so already, please like, comment, follow, subscribe, and of course, observe your 2 minutes silence. Anyway, guys, I will be back on at 8, and I will see you guys later.